The Harmon family reunion is held on the last Saturday of August, as it has been held for 23 years, at the family property in upstate New York. Owen Harmon arrives at 2:17 in the afternoon, 47 minutes after the official start time, and parks at the far edge of the gravel lot. Because the nearer spaces are taken, and because parking at the far edge also means walking the length of the property to the main gathering area, which gives him approximately 3 minutes of approach time to complete the specific internal preparation he performs every year before he enters the field where his family is assembled. He is 43 years old. He has been doing this preparation for 20 years, since the summer he was 23, which is the summer that the event happened that divided his family's understanding of him into two distinct eras before, when Owen was simply the eldest of the 4 Harmon children, reliable, a little serious, the one who told you things you didn't necessarily want to hear but that were almost always accurate, and after, when Owen became, in the family's shared narrative, the one who had lied about what he saw. He had not lied. He had been 23 years old and had told his parents what he saw, and they had not believed him. And the person he saw had denied it with the specific fluency of someone who had long practice at denial. And the family had arranged itself around the denial rather than the account. And Owen had spent 20 years being the person who was told, in various ways and with various degrees of gentleness, that he must have been mistaken. He was not mistaken. He walks across the gravel lot. He enters the field. He finds his sister Diane and accepts the beer she offers, and stands beside her in the specific position he has occupied at family gatherings for 20 years, present, participating, and carrying the particular weight of someone who knows that everyone in the room has a version of a story, and that his version is the one that happens to be true, and that nobody has ever chosen to believe. Walter Harmon had been, in the specific way of family patriarchs of his generation, the center of gravity around which everything else organized, not through domineering, but through expectation, through the specific quality of his disappointment when things went wrong. Owen, the eldest, had never been entirely comfortable in this arrangement, not because he loved his father less, but because his particular temperament, the one that noticed things and said what he noticed, was less compatible with a system that valued smooth presentation over accurate description. He had been managed for this quality from childhood, with affection and exasperation in roughly equal measure, and with the specific institutional downgrade of credibility that attaches to people who say difficult things too often. His brother Marcus, 5 years younger, had been from the beginning the child who organized himself most successfully around Walter's expectations, charming in the way of middle children who have watched the eldest navigate the terrain ahead of them and learned from the watching. Marcus was liked by everyone. Marcus was liked by everyone. Marcus made everything easier. Marcus was the one who, at 20 years old in the summer Owen was 23, had been seen by Owen in the back office of Walter Harmon's property management firm removing documents from the private filing cabinet, not reviewing them, removing them, taking them out, and putting them in the bag he had brought. He had told his parents. Marcus had denied it. Walter had believed Marcus. Diane had believed Owen privately and said nothing publicly. Caitlin, 15, had not been in the room and had subsequently adopted the family's dominant narrative. For 20 years, Marcus Harmon has been the brother who made everything easier. Owen has been the one who lied about what he saw. What 20 years of being the person who lied about what they saw does to a person's relationship with their family does not produce, in someone like Owen, a dramatic rupture of estrangement. Owen Harmon still comes to the reunions. He still calls his mother on her birthday. He still maintains, with Diane, a friendship built on her private acknowledgement of what she knows is true and Owen's acceptance that the private acknowledgement is the most she can offer. What 20 years produces is something quieter and more corrosive. The specific, cumulative effect of being present in a room where your account of reality is not the operative one, of watching Marcus be charming and make things easier and be liked by everyone, knowing what you know, of attending family dinners where his father, before he died, would occasionally make a joke about Owen's memory, not cruelly, but with the specific casual comfort of someone who has settled on an explanation and sees no reason to revisit it. Owen has built his life around the parts that have nothing to do with the family's account of him. He is a civil engineer, a profession that appeals to him in the specific way that professions appeal to people who need external validation of their relationship with reality, with the comfort that bridge calculations do not care what anyone believes about you, that structural loads do not accept family narratives as a substitute for physics. He comes to the reunions because the alternative, not coming, would be a form of concession he is not prepared to make. He is here. He saw what he saw. He comes to the reunions. This year is the 20th since the summer he was 23. He's drinking his beer in the field with Diane and watching Marcus arrive at 3 p.m. with his wife and his 2 teenage children, and the specific quality of ease that Marcus always carries in family settings. The ease of someone for whom the family setting is uncomplicated by anything they need to manage. Owen watches him cross the field. He raises his beer. Marcus raises his beer. Marcus raises his in return. The storm arrives at 5:43 p.m. Earlier than the weather app suggested, and in the specific way of upstate New York storms in late August. Fast, warm, with the kind of lateral rain that makes outdoor gatherings immediately non-viable. The family moves inside to the farmhouse. Owen ends up in the back hallway, connecting the main living area to the back office, Walter's private office, the one he specifically asked people not to use, now containing primarily the miscellaneous accumulation of things that families put in rooms they don't use, old sporting equipment, a filing cabinet that nobody has opened in years, a shelf of books nobody has moved, because moving them would require a decision. He's in the back hallway when his nephew Tyler, Marcus's son, 17, with his father's social ease and his father's particular talent for making himself welcome in rooms he hasn't been explicitly invited into, pushes open the door to the back office and goes in, not because he was sent there, but because he is 17 and curious and bored, and the storm has made the outdoor activities impossible. Owen is about to tell Tyler that the back office is the room his grandfather asked people not to use when Tyler pulls open the filing cabinet. "There's still stuff in here," Tyler says. Owen steps into the doorway. The filing cabinet that nobody has opened in years contains, in its bottom drawer, behind a hanging file labeled in Walter Harmon's handwriting as miscellaneous chain personal, a manila envelope. Tyler pulls it out. He looks at the label. "Uncle Owen," Tyler says, "this has your name on it." Owen takes the envelope from Tyler. On the front, in Walter Harmon's handwriting, "For Owen, if I am no longer able to give this to him myself." He holds it. Walter Harmon died in Hainan Hongcham, Leichin. This envelope has been in the filing cabinet for a minimum of 14 years. "Is it something important?" Tyler says. Owen looks at the envelope. "Yes, I think so." Tyler is a 17-year-old at a boring family reunion during a rainstorm, and the envelope is adult business, and the back office is small and musty. He leaves. Owen sits in the desk chair, his father's chair, in the room his father specifically asked people not to use, and opens the envelope. Inside, 4 pages, handwritten in Walter Harmon's careful cursive. And a second envelope, smaller, sealed, labeled in Walter's hand, the documents Marcus took. "My copies, I made copies, I made copies." Owen reads the letter first. The letter begins, "Owen, I have spent 10 years getting this wrong, and I owe you this accounting whether or not I am able to give it to you in person." Walter had believed Marcus. This is stated in the second sentence without defense or mitigation. He had believed Marcus because Marcus was present and persuasive, and because Owen's account was a more uncomfortable account than Marcus's denial, and because Walter had, the letter is specific about this, wanted to believe Marcus. Marcus was easier. Marcus made things smoother. Owen was the one who pointed out things that were inconvenient to point out, and Walter had, across 23 years of parenting Owen, developed the specific habit of managing Owen's inconvenient observations by finding a way to explain them away. He had been wrong to reach for it. He had discovered this in hanging Kong Cham Labon when the family's accountant found a gap in the property management firm's records. He had confronted Marcus in hanging Kong Cham Labon. Marcus had admitted it, and Walter had not told Owen. Walter had confronted Marcus in hanging Kong Cham Labon 3 years after Owen first told him what he saw. Marcus had admitted it. Eventually, in a conversation Walter describes in the letter as the most difficult he had with any of his children in 30 years of parenting. And Walter had not told Owen. The letter is specific about this. In the section that costs Walter the most, measured in the quality of the prose, more careful, slower, the sentence structure of someone choosing words with unusual deliberateness. He had not told Owen, because telling Owen would have required admitting to Owen that he had been wrong, and Walter Harmon, who had built his authority in this family through the specific expectation of his own judgment, had found that admission to be the thing he could not do. He could carry the guilt. He could compensate the slight increase in deference he gave Owen's opinions at family dinners. The specific way he had, in the last years before he died, made a point of listening to Owen more carefully. But the direct admission had remained, until the letter, the thing he could not bring himself to make. He was making it now, in a letter written in Hangin Kong Chum Le Sao, to be given to Owen if Walter could not give it himself. He had not given it himself. He had died in Hangin Kong Chum Le Chin without giving it. He had left it in the filing cabinet in the room he specifically asked people not to use. The letter ends, "You were right, Owen. You were right about Marcus. And you were right to tell us, and I was wrong not to believe you. And I am more sorry than I know how to say in this letter, or in person or in any format available to a man who is not, and has never been, as good at saying difficult things as his eldest son. You got that from somewhere better than me. I am glad you have it." Owen sits in the back office for 22 minutes. He can hear his family in the next room. He can hear the storm. He opens the second envelope. The second envelope, the copies Walter made. Owen does not read in detail here in the back office. He understands them well enough from 20 years of thinking about what Marcus might have taken and why. They are financial documents relating to a privately managed matter of Walter's. Not illegal, but private in the way of arrangements that people of a certain generation make to manage assets outside the formal family structure. The kind of arrangements that are nobody's business until they become somebody's business. Marcus had taken them because he wanted to know what they contained, or because he wanted to know what they contained, or because he wanted to be able to use them. Or, Owen considers this, sitting in the chair, because Marcus, who has always been the one who made things easier and smoother and who was liked by everyone, had also always been the one who quietly, carefully accumulated the information and the leverage that allowed him to continue being the one who made things easier. Not dramatically, not cruelly, but with the specific background intelligence gathering of someone who had figured out early that knowing more than other people was the most reliable form of social safety available. Owen had seen a piece of this when he was 23. He had been right about what he saw. He had not understood everything it meant. He had understood it as a moment of theft, not as the visible edge of a practice, but he had been right about what he saw. He folds the letter. He puts it back in the envelope. He puts the second envelope inside the first. He sits with both envelopes in his hands. He thinks about the last family dinner before Walter died, where Walter had listened to Owen more carefully than usual, and Owen had attributed it to illness. He understands now what that dinner actually was. He stands up. He goes into the hallway. The storm is still going. He finds Diane. He brings Diane into the kitchen and gives her the envelope. She reads it at the kitchen table while Owen stands at the window watching the rain, because he cannot watch her read and has chosen the window as the nearest available alternative. She finishes in 15 minutes. "Dad knew," she says, "from Hainan Kong Cham Le Bon, 3 years after I told him. Diane is quiet, and he didn't tell you." "No," Owen says. She looks at the envelope, at Owen at the window. She has known, privately, for 20 years. She has said so on 3 occasions with the pained honesty of someone who knows what they did and cannot undo it. She is now sitting with a letter that makes her private, knowing into something public, documented, confirmed, written by the authority of the family itself. "What do you want to do?" she says. Owen turns from the window. "I want to know what you think we should do. Because I've been carrying this alone for 20 years and I have my own answer to that question. But my own answer has 20 years of weight behind it, and I'm not sure I trust it to be the right answer rather than just the answer he always wanted." Diane looks at him. This is the most honest thing Owen has said to her in 20 years. He is not asking her to confirm what he wants to do. He is asking for help separating what he wants from what is right. "Marcus is in the next room," she says, "and Mom is here." She looks at the letter. "Dad wrote this in Hanyang Kong Chamle Sao. He had 3 years after he found out, and he couldn't say it in person." What does that tell you? That he understood the weight of it, and the fact that he wrote it at all. That he didn't think it should stay buried. Diane nods. "Then we tell them. Not tonight, not in the middle of a rainstorm with 41 people in a farmhouse, but soon and completely, and it doesn't stay buried. You've waited 20 years. You can wait until we've figured out how to do this right." "Okay," he says. "Okay," she says. Family meeting is not at the farmhouse. Diane arranges it at a conference room at a hotel in the city where Evelyn lives. On a Saturday in late September, 30 days after the reunion, 30 days of preparing for this. Evelyn is there. Marcus is there. Caitlin flew in from Denver. Owen is there. Diane runs the meeting. Owen had asked her to, partly because Diane is better at the social management this requires, and partly because the person who has been carrying the truth for 20 years is not the right person to lead the meeting in which the truth is disclosed. Diane reads the letter aloud. She does not editorialize. She reads Walter's words in Walter's order and stops when the letter stops. The room is quiet for a long time. Evelyn says, in the specific voice of someone processing the reorganization of 40 years of understanding, "He knew. From hanging Kong Chemle Bon, he knew and he didn't tell me." Marcus is looking at the table. He has the specific quality of someone making calculations in real time, not about whether to deny the letter, which is unanswerable, but about what posture is available in the room's current configuration. "I was 20 years old," Marcus says finally. "It is not precisely defense." "Yes," Owen says. It is the first thing he has said since he sat down. "You were 20 years old, and I was 23, and I told the truth, and you said I was lying, and our father believed you, and I spent 20 years being the one who got things wrong. I'm not here to prosecute you. I'm here because the letter was addressed to me, and it says something that should have been said 20 years ago, and I'm saying it now." Marcus looks at him. The room looks at Marcus, looks at him. The room looks at Marcus. Evelyn is crying, not dramatically, the specific quiet of a woman receiving information that reorganizes decades. "I'm sorry," Marcus says. 2 words, addressed to Owen. "They are not enough." Owen knows they are not enough. Owen knows they are not enough. Marcus knows they are not enough. Rue knows they are not enough, and also knows that they are what is available in this room on this day, and that what comes after them is a different question from whether they are enough right now. "I know," Owen says. 8 months after the family meeting, Owen Harmon is at his desk finishing a load calculation for a bridge approach that will carry commuter traffic over a river that floods unpredictably. His phone shows 3 texts, one from Diane, with whom he now talks most often rather than most honestly, which is a different relationship and better. One from his mother, who has called 11 times in 8 months in the pattern of someone reorganizing their relationship with a child they underestimated. And one from Marcus, the 3rd text in 8 months, brief, not demanding. The specific careful quality of someone who has done something wrong and is trying to do repair correctly without knowing what repair looks like. Owen has responded to each of Marcus's texts eventually, in the brief and specific way that he is learning is what this repair looks like from his side, not warm yet, but present, which is what he has to offer and which is more than he was offering 3 years ago. He thinks about the sentence in his father's letter he has thought about most. "You got that from somewhere better than me. I am glad you have it." He thinks about 20 years of going to the reunions. He thinks about Tyler, 17, curious, who opened the filing cabinet because the storm had made the outdoor activities impossible. He thinks about the specific and entirely random quality of how the truth arrived. Not through anything Owen did, not through accumulated evidence or dramatic confrontation or any mechanism he had imagined. The truth arrived because a rainstorm came early and a 17-year-old was bored and a filing cabinet that nobody had opened in years had a manila envelope in its bottom drawer. He has thought about what this means. He has arrived at this. The truth was there. It was always there. His account of what happened was always accurate. The filing cabinet did not make it true. It had been true for 20 years in the specific and unrewarded way of things that are true regardless of whether anyone believes them. The filing cabinet only made it visible. He saves the load calculation. He reads Marcus's text. He types back received. Talk soon. He puts the phone down. He opens the next file. He goes to work. The bridge will be built on calculations that are accurate. The river will flood unpredictably. The bridge will hold because Owen Harmon checked his work, as he always does, because the checking is how he knows.